Over the last 4 years of doing DIY dupes here on my channel, I've lost count just how much I have saved DIYing instead of buying some high-end decor. But I can guarantee you at this point, we're definitely in the thousands of dollars. So I'm back again today with more DIYs that you should definitely make instead of buy to help you save, to get that look in your home without breaking the bank. A huge thank you to Crafty for sponsoring this video.
I love how relaxing the sound of water is, so I wanted to add some sort of fountain out by our pool, but not for $349, so I thought I could get a similar look and vibe for much less. I started at the hardware store, and when I tell you anyone can do this DIY, I promise anyone can. Get yourself a planter, whether you buy one or get one from your house. This one's from Walmart. Then you're going to need some rocks. You can either steal them from your house if you've got extra rocks, or you can grab some little pond pebbles like I did. The whole bag was under $5 at Home Depot. I put the planter on a plant stand just to rise it up. We already had this, but you could easily put it on a table as well. Fill it up with rocks and then fill it up with water. If you get the rocks I did, make sure to clean your rocks first. Your water's going to look like this. So we dumped it out, refilled. My buddy was there to help. And then before we added the fountain piece, I added these mosquito dunks. These kill mosquito larvae for 30 days. It just dissolves in there. So then that way we're not going to have a breeding ground when you're trying to relax and you're just getting eaten by mosquitoes. Then I added this solar fountain from Amazon. So easy to put together. Good to go. I was able to make this for under $40, about $37 all in, and listen to how zen this sounds.
When I plan the projects for these DIY instead of buy videos, I first comb through high-end sites for things that I love that I could easily DIY. I saw all these beautiful embroidered pillows and it made me want to make one for myself. But in the past, I have struggled to find an easy-to-follow embroidery tutorial that doesn't leave me super frustrated. But recently, I took the Startup Library hand embroidery course on Crafty and had a breakthrough. I'm partnering with Crafty on this video because it is a wonderful online resource for all things creative that I know my craft buddies are going to love too. They offer virtual courses on everything us craft buddies love, from home decor and sewing to baking and cake decorating, with options for every skill level. And now that I've gained confidence with Crafty, I am embroidering my own pillow. It is going to be this glue gun that's part of my new branding to live here in my craft room. I plan to work on this before bed instead of just scrolling through my phone, and it is definitely way more relaxing.
Two other crafty courses I loved and would recommend are Rider DIY, which is full of wood build projects and tips and tricks, and Artisan Bread in Minutes. I cannot wait to use the tips from that class to make my own rolls this fall.
Not only does Crafty offer hundreds of on-demand courses with new ones always being added, but they also have live streaming tutorials allowing you to ask questions and chat with other DIYers, giving you immediate support on all your projects. The first 1,000 craft buddies to use the link down in the description will get a full year of premium membership to Crafty for only $1.49. Yep, you heard me right. A full year for under $2. All the details are down in the description, and I can't wait to hear what you learn with Crafty.
I fell in love with these Pottery Barn recycled glass mason jar vases. I didn't really care for the bee stamp. I didn't need that, but I wanted a blue tinted vase. So I took myself to the thrift store to find some glass jars. You can use any glass that you have. You can even do shop your house for this. And you're going to need some alcohol ink to tint these to keep it waterproof. And I thought I needed some isopropyl alcohol. I've never used alcohol ink before this project, and some of the tutorials said I needed it, but really it ended up thinning it out way too much, so I don't think you need it. You're going to take a disposable makeup sponge and just apply it to your jar. You're going to want to make sure you work quick in up and down strokes and make sure you are in a well-ventilated area. I wore a mask and gloves as well. Work quick, make sure you get rid of any streaks, and that is it. I did this blue vase. I also decided to do a pinkish purplish color on the decorative jar, and then I let them dry for an hour, gave them a clear coat of spray paint so it was waterproof. If you do not seal them, they will not be waterproof. And once they were sealed, you guys, these look so good. Look how pretty they look with the flowers. These are fake tulips. I just put some water at the bottom because these are now water resistant because I did it on the outside and sealed it. I just love it. This is not food safe, so keep that in mind, but I love it for decor or for fresh flowers, and the blue tint I think is just perfect. And now I'm going to tint all the glass. I love the idea of this fire bowl because not everybody has space for a fire pit, and I had some landscape rocks left over from my fountain, so I decided to wash up what I had left, grab some all-purpose sand, and a pretty planter from Walmart. You're going to either use one you already have or find something that matches your aesthetic. I started by adding the all-purpose sand to the bottom of my container to fill it up, and it's also going to make it a little less heavy than filling the entire thing up with rocks. The reason we're doing sand and rocks is because we're adding this tabletop fire bowl, and we want to make sure that everything we're working with is non-flammable. I'm going to pat down the sand and then use my washed rocks so they didn't have dirt all over them and they're nice and shiny around the outside to cover up the sand and give it a similar look to the rocks from the inspiration. I bought some black rocks that look similar to the inspiration from Amazon, and they were way more expensive and I didn't like the look, so I returned those and used these, and they were way cheaper and I could use up the leftovers from a previous project. I cleaned up any of the leftover water, and then I used the little insert that it comes with along with some isopropyl alcohol, followed all the instructions. It's going to depend on what little fire table thing you have, but you want to make sure you're safe, light it away from your house, make sure it's all open. And then you have this cute little fire table that you can use for so many different things. This is able to be used to cook s'mores, so use it all up to your discretion and make sure that you are being safe. And then when you're done for the night, it also comes with this little damper tool, so you're able to put it right on top. You can clean it out and use it next time. I'm really excited to use this as we head into fall at night when it gets a little cooler. There's $129, my DIY version, about $35 all in. I am a huge fan of this two-tone look on ceramic. It started in the farmhouse style, but now it's kind of transitioned into the modern organic, which is really the base of how I decorate my house. I needed some more vessels because I have a lot of fall foliage, so I went to the thrift store, found a variety of shapes that I liked, so you're going to look for stuff that you like, and then I grabbed smoky beige spray paint along with some of this Rust-Oleum multicolor texture. Now keep in mind, if you buy the Rust-Oleum stone, it's pretty much the same but double the price, so go with the one that I showed you first, as well as a sealant. We're going to start with that smoky beige and give everything a base coat except for one of our vases. One of the vases I am going to do a black and kind of stone look, and this one is going to be more of a taupe and stone. You could also do a white base coat, or this also looks pretty with like a deep green, a warm burgundy, so many different options. You can really customize it. This is also something great to do on some seasonal decor that maybe you need to give a new life. That didn't match my house, so I decided to do the same treatment to it. Here is our black spray paint, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention everything I get from the thrift store I am thoroughly cleaning before I am DIYing with it. It's just not super fun to watch me clean things, so I'll just mention it and I will save you that time. Then once everything's dry, I let it dry for a couple hours just to make sure the spray paint was stuck to the ceramics, and then I'm taking painter's tape around the outside to get as straight of a line as I can. Sometimes when it's oblong like this, using some smaller pieces really does help. And then once that is covered, you're going to take a just regular old bag from the grocery store, plastic bag. You could also use a Ziploc bag, really anything that you can put around the top and tape to that first layer of tape so that your top black color is not going to be impacted by this. Then we're going to go through with that stone spray paint, making sure you're doing long, quick sprays so you don't get like a bunch of it in one area because it will gob up on you. So keep it moving, and I am spray painting inside of my spray paint tent from Amazon. You can either scan the QR code up in the corner or go down to the description and shop for your own. This is awesome because I spray paint in my garage and I'm not going to get spray paint on anything other than where I want it. I continued that process on all of my vessels, let them completely dry, and then I'm going to carefully remove the painter's tape. I have found that you want to go section by section and make sure that you don't have too much slack between your finger and the container. Make sure you pull close to the rip zone, then that way you won't rip up the spray paint. Then our last step is to give it a quick matte coat of spray paint. If you use gloss spray paint for the actual container, you can use a gloss sealant, but I'm a matte girly, but it's totally up to you, whatever fits your style. I really love the look of this. This shape was such a fun find. I got this for 50 cents. And this black one I think turned out wonderful as well. I think it's going to be great with some fall foliage in the middle of the table. And then I styled this crock shaped one with some wooden utensils also from the thrift store to make it look like a little utensil caddy. And not to mention the cute little squash / gourd that was really shiny in a green color. This is a great way to neutralize it and upcycle stuff you already have. This would look great on pumpkins. And you can really change up the look by adding whatever florals that you want. I got these from Hobby Lobby, and that will really change the look. If you like this mirror in the background, it's another Pottery Barn dupe. I did it last year. I will link that video up above as well as down below for you if you want to check out more. One of the most popular questions I have gotten lately is, Whitney, how do I decorate between 4th of July and when the fall stuff comes out? This lemon wreath would be perfect. You're going to need a base wreath. Mine came from Joann's, and you just want to wait for Joann's, Michael's, wherever you're buying these types of florals to go on sale. Mine was 40% off this day. Now what we're going to do is create a temporary fix so you could easily switch this out for seasons, and here is the wreath that I'm going to use today. So to make our lemons temporary, I'm going to start with just some scrap felt from my stash, and I'm going to cut a piece about the size of the back of these lemons. I got these from Amazon, and I really like them for their size. They're more like a Meyer lemon size, and I really like the color. It doesn't look too artificial. Once I have enough pieces, I'm also going to cut out some about 12-inch pieces of floral wire, so those will help me attach the lemons temporarily to the wreath. So you're going to take a piece of your floral wire, glue it down, and then use the rest of that glue to hook on the felt. That is going to adhere your wire, and it's also going to really help it stay because it's got a little more surface area. Then grab your wreath or your garland, you could easily use this that way as well, and take that wire and stretch it around on either side of your wreath, and then when both of them are on the back, twist them just like a bread tie. Then that way you can either cut them with your scissors, or you could untwist them to remove the lemons and switch it out, whether you want it to be a Valentine's Day wreath or a Christmas wreath or a fall wreath or whatever, Thanksgiving, you could easily do that. I added about 12 lemons to my wreath. I moved them around and about, so then that way it kind of looked like they were hooked to the greenery on the wreath. So you want to make sure that it is kind of giving you pops of yellow, but not too much. I love how this turned out. It pops really good off of our red front door, and this is a great piece to use now through whenever you start decorating for fall. And like I said, those lemons are removable, making it even more versatile, and that green wreath is beautiful on its own, so you could just pop those off and use it that way as well. Quick reminder, the Pottery Barn version, $229. Mine was about $37 all in. If you've been around a while, you know that I love trays, but there is no reason to pay $109 for it. The first thing you're going to want to do is track down a piece of 2x lumber. This is probably a 2x6. This is scrap from when we built our dining room table. You're going to want to measure and make sure that you're going to cut your 1x2 piece to the width of your tray. What I'm going to do is I need 8.5 inches here, so I am going to cut 17 inches. And then I'm going to cut them in half just because it makes it a lot easier to cut that piece in half instead of having to take a little bit off of the end of this long piece. I'm using a miter box here because I didn't want to take my entire saw out. And this is so easy to do, especially with small lumber like this. Just take your saw, line it up, and then you can saw through. It takes under a couple minutes, and it's really, really easy to do, and it's really easy to store if you don't have a big saw. Then we're chopping down that second piece, so we have 2 equal pieces to go underneath our tray. Now it's time to sand, and normally I just glaze over this and I say, you know, sand it till it's smooth, but here it's important to sand a certain way to get that found look. We're also going to sand before we do any sort of distressing, because if we did the distressing first and then used our power sander, we're going to lose all the distressing. So here my goal is to really make those edges rounded. We don't want any sharp cuts. We want to make sure that the edges are not pointy as well, because that really matches the found look. Once those edges for the top part are done, I just did the bottom edges for the legs because I wanted a flat side to adhere to the tray. Then it's time to distress. Now, every time I do this technique, so many of you guys say I need to get a wire wheel for my drill. I've done this before, but our other one broke when we moved. Or we lost it. I don't really know. Maybe that's, you know, the realest thing I've said today. It just kind of walked away. So I bought a new one, and this thing is awesome to distress, give you those little chips in your wood. I also dinged it up with a hammer, and then my final step was to go through with a flathead screwdriver and a hammer just to wedge out some of the pieces of wood. It's really good to use a pine for this, which is what I'm using, or any other soft wood, because it's malleable and you're able to really ding it up and distress it. Now, typically I am a dark wood girl, but the inspo had a lighter color, so I tried something new. So I needed a color of stain that was a little bit lighter, like the inspiration, but I didn't want to buy a whole thing of stain just for this one project, just to help save.
So I used some K-Cup pods that we already have because we have a Keurig where I make my coffee. And I brewed 4 cups of coffee. I put 3 in here, and then here's the other one. I just have some cold water in my sink. And then with these ceramics, they kind of cooled a little bit, but I wanted it to be quicker. So I put it in here. Once it cools, I am going to put my wood in this Dollar Tree like auto drip pan that I had from something else. And we're gonna see if this gives me the caramely light wood color that I'm hoping for. Fingers crossed.
So I poured my cooled coffee into this kind of auto drip pan from Dollar Tree, and I made sure everything was coated. I let it sit for, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, and then I flipped it, and I kind of kept flipping it. And for a while, I was like, is this doing anything? Is it just looking like this because it's wet? So I took it out, I let it dry in the sun, and it really gave it just a little bit of color. Now, I didn't want to mess with it because I did actually like this color, but, you know, if you have stained with coffee or tea before, let me know, because that was my first rodeo, and I don't feel like I did that great. But I do like how it turned out, so, you know, it's kind of a happy accident. Then I'm going to take some glue once everything is dry, some wood glue, and I'm going to hook those legs where I want them. Once those are dry with clamps on, then I'm going to add this nail detail. These are just regular nails, 1.5 inch, and you want to make sure that they are lined up correctly so they go right into your legs so you don't have any pops underneath. But that's going to give you that same look of the Pottery Barn one. That one had something crazy like 5 nails on either side. I like the look of 4. I also thought too, I'm going to put stuff on top of this tray so I don't need to waste and put a ton of nails because the wood glue is going to hold it. I really like that it just looks unfinished. I may or may not add some other stain to it. I don't know. Still on the fence, but I do like how it looks right now. Let me know down below, should I stain it dark or leave it this way? And as a reminder, the Pottery Barn version was $109 and mine was about $10-ish if you were to buy everything. However, I had everything in my garage, so it was free to me. It was a scrap wood project. That's going to do it for this round of things you should DIY instead of buy. As always, head down to the comments. Let me know what your favorite project is. I love hearing what you guys love because that helps inform future videos. And while you're down there, be sure to expand the description box, click the link, head over to Crafty because the first 1,000 craft buddies who click that link will get a full year of premium membership to Crafty for only $1.49. So many things that you can learn, so be sure to check it out and let me know in the comments if you already use Crafty. I would love to know your favorite class so I know what to check out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!